want to be able to get favorable matchups because first going in and defending the Steelers, I'm saying, listen, Ben's going to get the ball out of his hand. Last year, the short passing game was the extension of the run game, but now you have a real guy that can run behind his pass. He's going to get a light box, and Ben's going to be able to take advantage of it. Ben is one of the smartest football players that I've ever played against, right? And listen, that's saying a lot because I played against some of the greats, but he doesn't get the respect that he deserves, right? He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, and he's a guy that's put up 4,000, 5,000 yards with multiple offensive coordinators. I think they slipping on him. So I'm telling you, I know he's a baby, but this baby got a lot of support behind him.
Baby again. Last thing I'm going to say, there's an added game to the schedule this year in the NFL.
Yes. For
one game, and you could speak to this better than obviously I could ever, but an added game to a schedule with an older guy like Big Ben. We saw last year, obviously, the Steelers, if anyone, had issues with the bye week and moving around, not having a rest, Thanksgiving. We know all about it, but now you have an added game to the schedule. Hopefully you keep your bye in place, but yet still, is that going to pose a problem for this now Big Ben Roethlisberger? Like, even last year he had to sit the last game of the season. He admitted being tired towards down the stretch. Like, it's going to be even worse this year.
Well, I think if you play behind a running game, he doesn't have the attempts, then he's not wearing that shoulder out because he's not throwing the ball. It's easy to turn around and just hand the ball over and say, young fella, we're going to put it on your shoulders, carry us there, right? And what they have to worry about is not using Najee Harris too early because you want him to peak at the right time. So you want to create balance. And you don't want to give him you don't want to give him 30, 40 carries early in the season because he's going to be doing something that he's never done before. The entire league is going to be doing something they ever done before. In college, the season is much shorter, and is different than playing in the league. So I think they have to put that guy on a pitch count early and then release him late, like we did with Sean Green, right? Remember, we had LT Sean Green. We started off with LT early in the season, and then we let that young bull go in the playoffs, and he took us all the way to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, don't give it away all early. All right, let's change gears. Cam Newton said last Thursday right here on KJZ. By the way, Bart Scott, Shea Cornett filling in for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. He said last week right on this show that essentially it's time for the Patriots to meet expectations. Let's hear from Cam Newton on what he said.
It's not even about, testing or doing certain things. It's just knowing it's a standard, right? And, for me, the Patriots organization has been, impeccable, with the addition of, Patricia, he's been great as well. Just so my time has been there has just been, everything I could have asked for. I guess it's now, time for me to uphold my end of the bargain through and through and, doing everything that I know I'm capable of doing and staying all in my wheelhouse. So I think that's what it comes down to, as far as the expectations from, what I've expected from Bill and, Josh and those guys. They've been excellent, and, we're just going to keep pushing forward.
All right, so essentially it's put up or shut up time for the New England Patriots. Cam Newton knows all about this. He's got Mac Jones basically breathing down his throat. Last year, him having a second chance in this organization to me is rare, right? Yeah. It's a gift, essentially, for Cam Newton, although I think well-deserved. Last year he comes in, COVID year, gets COVID, new system, coming off injuries, hasn't been fully himself, and he was having a decent season. But all in all, the Patriots finished last year 7-9. They were only 3-3 in the AFC East. Not something Bill Belichick's accustomed to. He goes out and signs all these free agents. Now Cam Newton has another year under the system. And so you would think that the Patriots are going to be better this year. And again, there's a backup breathing down his neck. So there's a little added pressure to Cam Newton.
Brian Hoyer?
No, not Brian Hoyer.
Not Brian Hoyer. Okay.
That would be Mac Jones. And so this poses the question, considering it is the week that training camp is going to start for two teams, and the Cowboys and the Steelers, but who else in this league, outside Cam Newton and the Patriots, is it time to put up or shut up, Bart?
Well, I think it's we got to go. I got to go right down to New Orleans, right? Because Jameis Winston is fighting for his career as a starter, right? He went there. He took a gap year in New Orleans to go down there to learn and sit. And now the hardest thing to do is to replace a legend when the standards is high. You think about Cam Newton, that he's experiencing that as well. So I think Jameis Winston definitely is one who has to put up or shut up. And then you look at Carson Wentz, right? Everybody made an excuse. I made excuses for him, right? This was an old roster, a team that went all in. They got their championship. And, they became an old roster that made a lot of transition. But, Carson Wentz is definitely a guy that's going to have to show that he can lead. It should work out. It should work out, but you never know. I'm never surprised in this league, but, going back with Frank Wright, a great offensive line, a team that's ready to win. They should win that division. You look at, Jimmy G. I didn't even think about Jimmy G until we were just talking, right? This is a guy that definitely isn't going to be there. He's been in trade rumors. He's fighting for his career in the future, his career as well. And I can scan around and peruse around the league. It's a couple guys that maybe I could be forgetting. But, definitely, Matthew Stafford. Like, I'm the guy that's made all the excuses for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has been part of the worst organization in the not just football, in the history of sports. You think about the greatness that the Lions have just let just melt away. Calvin Johnson, first time, first ballot Hall of Famer. Barry Sanders, right? And you think about the great players that they just couldn't, overcome playing for that organization. It's been mismanaged for years. So now Matthew Stafford has an opportunity. He has no excuses. He has a great coach with a great mind to should be able to take advantage of his skill set. He has a number one defense, and he's going to have something that he hasn't only had, I believe, only 11 times in his career. And, only 11 times in his career has he had a 100-yard rusher in a game. Like, he's in a game. Right. So, it was all on his shoulders. And listen, he had to battle with injuries. Matthew Stafford is a guy. And listen, I'm standing here and sometimes the tree falls in the woods and nobody's around. They don't hear it. I'm telling you, my favorite for not only the Super Bowl and the unseed Tom Brady, but the MVP is Matthew Stafford.
Okay. I like that. Bold statement, but not that bold. I like that.
Yeah, it was bold when I said it, like, as soon as he got there.
Why?
Because
he's never done it in the postseason?
No, because I've been around great players. I tell people all the time, I'm like an expert in bad quarterbacks. Like, I played with some of the worst quarterbacks. I think me and Tony Gonzalez probably had the greatest list of not bad quarterbacks. I'm talking about horrible quarterbacks. Like, what are you doing? And when I look at Matthew Stafford, I think he's accustomed to having to do it the hard way.
Yeah.
And he's going to be able to get the ball back. He's going to get the ball on short fields because of that great defense. He's going to have guys that's open that he's not going to have to throw open. He's going to have balance, a run game. And I think, we talk about a guy that's thrown for 5,000 yards when throwing for 5,000 yards wasn't a popular thing. Now, of course, you should be able to throw for 1,000 yards if you're not handing the ball off. But he's a guy, I think, that is a great player that we don't know about. We talk about Dame Lillard wasting his talents up in Portland. Well, Matthew Stafford was wasting his greatness in Detroit.
Okay, so back to the put up or shut up thing. And coming off of Cam Newton saying it's time to put up or shut up for him in New England this year. You mentioned Jameis Winston. That one I'll agree with. Jameis Winston can go out and he can ball out this year, and then he can prove that he belongs and he should stay the starting quarterback in New Orleans. Correct. Right. Always hard to follow up a legend, but nonetheless, he's learned under a legend. He supposedly has had LASIK surgery, so he's not going to turn the ball over so much. And so being under Sean Payton's system now for yet another year, and I think probably having his ego suppressed a little bit, considering you had Taysom Hill starting in front of you and all the rest that had been going on last year. And so Jameis Winston, I'll agree with. Jimmy G was my initial pick. My initial thought when this was brought up to me, I thought, okay, it's definitely Jimmy Garoppolo. Another situation where you've got a quarterback breathing down his throat with Trey Lance there. I mean, he has been asked time and time again, once by me, myself, how do you deal with a rookie quarterback coming in and everyone in the league wondering if you're going to leave? I mean, you're 2 seasons removed from a Super Bowl, this guy. Yet still, the narrative with Jimmy G is he's not enough for the San Francisco 49ers. They're in a really, really hard division there in the NFC West, one that now does have Matthew Stafford. And so he needs to go out and prove that he can be a mainstay, not only a starting quarterback, I think, for the 49ers, but one that can be in this league for a long time.